About Israel is a four-part series about the Arab-Israeli conflict and the difficulties we experience in hearing and sharing differing views within the American Jewish community. I'm Stanley Wulf, a retired physician, originally from South Africa, but having lived in California for most of my life. I travel to Jewish communities around the United States to talking about the conflict in the Middle East. As we know, passions run high when it comes to Israel. Communities, friends, and even families have been torn apart by hurtful, judgmental shouting matches on the subject. This series shares with you the techniques I employ and teach so that Jews from across the political spectrum might be more prepared to sit together and have civil and constructive discussions. In this part, I'll discuss 3 rules I have formulated that promote productive discussions. I call these 3 rules of constructive discussion the 3 no's. The subsequent parts of this series will show clips from my talks with commentary on specific aspects of the conflict that illustrate these rules. So let's go to rule number 1. No blaming. The most common default in arguments on the Middle East is to blame the other side. Unfortunately, there's a lot of blame to go around in the various failed attempts to reach a peace agreement. Here are some common statements. Abbas is not a peace partner. Netanyahu is not a peace partner. Israel built a separation wall. Terrorism required a security fence. Palestinians walked away from peace negotiations. Israel made peace impossible by continuing to build settlements. While one can make a case for each of these positions, all they do is separate us into defensive camps filled with justifiable anger. Our accusations get louder, our armor gets thicker, dedication to our positions gets stronger, and we move further apart. So, to explore what might provide a better future for Israelis and Palestinians, set aside blame, if only for the duration of your conversation. Now, rule number 2, no historical justifications. We all have heard statements such as this. Palestinians were farming the land before Jews took over. Palestinians were never a real people. It was their grandfather's land, their olive trees. The Bible proves this is all ours. God promised this land to us. There is nothing more divisive than arguing on an historical basis, especially a religious one. Each person is understandably committed to their history and their set of beliefs. It's simply pointless to try to find compromise within that history and those beliefs. But we try, and we fail, and we dismiss the other as impossible to deal with. So, to explore what might provide a better future for Israelis and Palestinians, set aside historical justifications, if only for the duration of your conversation. Now, rule number 3, no moral arguments. Our moral positions are inextricably tied to who we are. Being asked to compromise on a moral position is unreasonable and unfair. Here's a common moral argument on the left. We need to support the establishment of a Palestinian state because it is morally right and an expression of our Jewish values. This is a declaration that judges, even accuses the other person. It says, your position is not Jewish. It makes a simplistic and absolute declaration about a nuanced and complicated situation. Now here's a common moral argument on the right. Pikuach nefesh, the saving of life obligates us to prevent another terrorist state from forming on our doorstep. Now, this too is a declaration that judges, even accuses the other person. It says, your position will kill Jews. Again, it makes a simplistic and absolute declaration about a nuanced and complicated situation. So, to explore what might provide a better future for Israelis and Palestinians, set aside moral arguments, if only for the duration of the conversation. So, those are the three no's: no blaming, no historical justifications, and no moral arguments. You know, after presenting these three no's, I've been often asked, what then can we discuss? Those three areas have been the bases for every discussion on Israel that I've heard. Yes, and that's why they end in hurtful, judgmental, and unproductive shouting matches. What is left to discuss are those issues, and only those issues, that can move us forward, that avoid automatic roadblocks, that take into account the deeply held narratives of both ends of the political spectrum. Then, and only then, I believe, can all of us who care so much about Israel sit together and discuss constructively and productively the sensitive subject of Israel and the Palestinians. I will illustrate this approach in Speaking About Israel, Part 2 through 4.
I know someday it'll all turn around, 'cause